Doran on a tank. These plans make a lot of sense. Now, he mentioned putting Faker on a control mage. I think that's what Faker would like, but there aren't that many left, right? There just aren't that many that are meta right now. The Ryze is gone. The Orianna is obviously going to be banned. The Annie is also banned. I think MKOI's approach to this red side ban, the bans, I should say, look really good so far.
Yeah, the Wukong also going to be taken away this time from T1. I thought that maybe Ona might be looking for that, but instead going to be banning it away themselves. What is this going to be? As a bit, and the Nocturne. Nocturne and Wukong, they were the two things that I was thinking Ona wants to play at this point in time. We know that over in Europe, they do like a lot of other junglers, the Maokai being a big one, and the Varus is left up.
Yeah, this is not on the fearless picks for T1 necessarily, though. They don't want to play for the rest of the tournament. This is one of Guma's best, one of his most famed, not just for his objective steals, but for his consistent damage, especially on the lethality variant of this pick. And it's one of the hottest contested AD carries. I mean, I would say, frankly, it is the hottest contested AD carry at this tournament thus far, and he gets his hands on it here in Game 3. Elyoya and Jojo going to get, though, this Jarvan Ahri setup here, which is strong into the Varus. They had this prepared.
Yep.
They didn't forget about Varus. They were like, we have an answer. We have a way to get on top of this immobile AD carry. And so that's going to be their response here. Now, where does Faker go into this Ahri is the real big question for me. No Orianna, no Annie. And Victor's still up. It's been a comfort pick for Faker, like the Azir, all year long. Tons of consistent damage, and it looks like that's the path he's going to take here.
Yep, an understandable one. This has, of course, been one, like, T1 have been first picking Victor all year long, right? So very happy to lock that one away. Don't necessarily feel fantastic about it into the Ahri, who certainly does have a lot more early and mid-game power, especially with the single target lockdown. A lot that Jojo and Elyoya can do in the early to mid-game. But this is a very stable draft so far put together for T1. And the Rakan being locked away here for Alvaro, another really, really good engaged choice.
Even though Keiria's game 2 was pretty weak, they still respect the fact that he's an amazing Bard player, right? His Renata is very strong, and these are very oppressive lanes to play into for Supa and Alvaro, especially with the Rakan they've already shown. So I think these bans do make sense, but it does give a ton of agency to Doran in this draft. You know, he can kind of do whatever he wants here in terms of safe top lane picks, tanks in particular, that he's so famous for. So it will ultimately be this MF choice to come through. Fairly risky. It doesn't necessarily suit the single target blow up of the Ahri with the Jarvan, but can be some really strong combos with that Cataclysm. And instead of going for lane dominance, they go for safety with this Tahm Kench pick. And I think considering the Jarvan Ahri, it makes a lot of sense.
And it's Keria as well, so I'm kind of thinking that Tahm Kench is also a lane dominance pick at the same time. This guy just kind of plays this pick very, very aggressively. As Moen, I loved his Cassante back in the LEC, and he is going to lock it away here into the Jax from Doran. This is looking like a way more T1 composition on the blue side this time around in game number 3, but I think MKOI no slouches in what they've got for themselves. And if the Cataclysms are placed well, a lot of these bullet times can be absolutely terrifying. And you put Alvaro into that mix as well, being able to get these quicknesses in so that he can charm them all up into a small area so that these bullets can really get the work done. Could be really, really big for MKOI.
And I also think that given JoJo's performances across, obviously, domestically, but here at this tournament, this is a strong jungle mid setup for pushing Faker behind, trying to get those advantages that they worked with so well in game 1. This is a more JoJo-focused draft, but I think the synergy between them has to be amazing. It has to be strong, and the target selection has to be crisp. They need to be able to lock down Faker or Guma consistently in order to win these games. Set up for that misfortune, as you said, for Supa. And it'd be a pretty exciting conclusion to this series. We had an obvious, very clear favorite in T1, but that second game really makes you second guess whether that's necessarily true coming into game 3.
Yep, 100% agree. Just shows that the first seed from the LEC are no slouches here at the EWC. And they could be joining G2. Like, it's absolutely insane that we could see 2 semifinals with European representatives and only one from the LCK is even possible after that. because Gen.G going to be facing off against FlyQuest immediately after this best of 3. And if Fly manages to take them down, that is insanity. We saw, in fact, it was Arnold from Gen.G tweeting out saying, oh man, the West is not going to like us after this. They have to go through both FlyQuest and G2. But what if Fly just takes them down first off? Man, it would be absolutely crazy. But still, here we are, onto the Rift for Game 3, the decider between our title defenders in T1 and the first seed from the LEC in Movistar KOI. As the keys are looming over, one of them going to be destroyed after this game.
Just one of these teams will remain. Guma with the Comet, showcasing it front and center here. Obviously the lethality variant in a draft like this, even with the Cassante and the Jarvan on the other side. You know, you just want to have the additional poke, and it sets up for the Victor to clean up later on in the game so incredibly well.
Oh, money.
Massive gold lead here.
That is huge.
Big.
A little bit of a shame for Moen that he has to be fighting back from such a massive deficit here in this early game.
Can Doran double it?
Ooh. Just see, he's been very patient, as we can see. There it is. And yep, another one. Oh my goodness. Yeah, doubling your advantage.
Nobody's ever gotten a triple before. Not in a pro game.
Look at how patient he is, man.
Gotcha. He got him!
Oh, goodness. 3 gold? Okay, well, I mean, Elyoya does manage to spot out a ward, so he actually, he had 5 gold. But I do really like the fishing. It was very peaceful, and I like that part of it.
All right, well, early game here definitely feels like it's going to be incredibly close, right? Like, we don't have lanes that auto-win. You mentioned Keria being a lane bully on this Tahm Kench. He absolutely has been in the past. Another matchup like this, especially at level 1, you can put the threat on here because Guma just does so much damage at level 1. His Comet damage stacks up here as well, and Keria, with the gray health, can just look for aggressive trades as much as he wants in this early game. This matchup here is so much more skill-based, right? You want to look for your electrocute procs non-stop as Ahri while trying to avoid those rays here from the Victor. And trade as best as you can. Level 2 here for T1, bottom lane.
Yeah, a big deal as well for both of these champions. They love hitting that level 2. As Jojo taking a fair bit from this death ray as Elyoya in the area. As he is just looking to keep clearing. I think Faker knew exactly what was going on. They did have that ward on the Raptors. So knowing the pathing here of the Jarvan, important, because Jarvan's certainly one of these champions that can gank extraordinarily early. As here, Doran trying to get that shove in. No one here on the top side for what feels like the first time at level 3.
Yeah. And strong push in mid and bottom lane. Like, T1 just have outskilled all 3 of these lane matchups to an extent to where they can get that extra control. And Jojepyeon, you know, once again, will be a little bit on the back foot. Will freeze this wave nicely. The threat of the Jarvan is definitely something Faker will always have at the back of his mind, even with that ward there that he has in the bottom side river.
Yeah. Bit of a tempo heal is what it kind of felt like there.
Uh-oh, Jojo.
In a lot of trouble. The Orb of Deception comes down. The Flash is going to be traded here as Faker also taking some damage from that turret. Also still manages to get the cannon. That's the most important thing. But man, Flash is missing in the mid lane. And Faker will be able to hold this wave at a pretty awkward spot here as he teleports back.
Interrupts his back for just a second, actually, which isn't going to feel great, but should be fine either way. That was a very tense moment there. Faker looking for the Ray to kill Jojepyeon there, but he responds well with his own flash as a double knockup.
Yeah, going to come in. The Battle Dance gets Alvaro out of there, though. And Gumiishi down to about 250 as Ono looking for an angle. No flashes, remember. As Faker, still with the teleport, wasn't actually able to go back home, and Jojo just gets stunned into the wall. The minions run out, the gravity well is there, and there is first blood over to the GOAT.
We've seen this so many times for Jojo where he gets a huge lead, but doesn't respect the fact that the jungler can come over and turn things around as, oh boy, Doran way up himself.
He is, and Doran, can he get out of this? It's going to, no, the answer is going to be probably not, but he does have flash, so he might be able to utilize it. I'm just saying hopefully he doesn't, and he then does immediately afterwards. Gets a counter-strike though, and there he is. He's able to get out. Leap strike to the minions as they come in.
Yeah, waits really long time for the flash there. Doesn't try to flash the flag drag, but ultimately flashes afterwards and is able to get the leap to the minion, as you say, and gets out of dodge right as the lane swap comes through. I mean, it almost felt certain there, but he does survive. And that kill in the mid lane for Faker is pretty massive. You know, the pressure absorbed there, nice for Faker. He stopped his back and almost felt like this was pre-planned moments ago. Faker's so famous for making calls like this in the comms, like, hey, I'm going to stop my back. I think he's going to continue to chase. You can path over to me. And if he looks for the kill there off the TP, since I have to lay back, we get something out of this. As Guma doesn't have Keria with him right now, but I think he will be totally fine as Keria rotates over.
Yeah, going to get here now as the Gleaming Quill from Albro is going to be able to get the heal. And T1 continuing to put on the pressure. You were talking about lane dominance. That is all continuing here, especially with that huge chunk as the Blight is procced. There's the flash forward, though, as they get the flag and drag. Gravity Well goes down, but the charm is so good. Faker actually able to walk it off, though, and Elyoya once again underneath the turret. Owner takes the kill, and it's highway robbery from T1 in this mid lane.
I mean, how many times do we have to talk about the Faker taunt at international tournaments?
Oh my God.
And it's just once again so close, but not enough. Faker just walks it off. Sitting on his double health crystals here.
And he needed all of that health. Sometimes the Ruby Crystals feel fantastic as the Arcane Storm is layered on top of Jojo here in this mid lane. Level 6 claimed by Faker a little bit earlier on as Bowen continuing to dab, but I don't know whether he's going to be going down just yet. No flash available, but still, he'll just able to get that back off and get himself away. Man, these health bars are making me nervous. Well,
yeah, Jojo almost
game
has level 6. There it is. And Faker's out of mana, but he does play respectfully. Look at this play here. Like, Faker stopped his back moments before. And, like, Jojo has all this tempo advantage, right? Owner comes over here, though, gets the drag. This is the second time. And we skipped the earlier one. Oh, Elyoya thinks he has the kill. Owner is able to push him into the wall there under turret aggro. And Elyoya is super frustrated because it's not even like Elyoya played it badly. He just didn't expect that rotation over there. Faker having so much extra health as this is in live.
Yeah.
Slow comes in.
Throws the boulder down. Jojo really not wanting to press that R button, but he's going to have to. The flash immediately afterwards here from Owner as he slows down Elyoya as well. And Keria has ghosted in there and then just gets himself out. That was a bit interesting.
Well, it was a really cool play there from Keria because it's relatively low risk. Has to commit the flash for it, but can just get his way out as we saw. And unfortunately, the red buff is on Team MKOI, and will be an escape there. But man, what a close exchange.
Really was. I'm trying to work out, like, what was exchanged? Like, was it worth it? It looked really cool from Keria.
I don't think it was worth it.
It feels like he just threw a whole lot of buttons into the abyss.
No, I don't think it was worth it.
Yeah, now Owner is also getting somewhat caught, but there's not a lot of damage between a Rakan and a Jarvan at this stage of the game against the Skarner. So Doran with a few trades here going pretty well on the bottom side. His Sheen has now been put together.
You can see, you know, some of these items, the Sheen you mentioned, the first Dirk coming through here for Gumusi, so he's got some of those additional stats here for this upcoming grub fight. Faker with a later back here, but will ultimately be able to, with that push, be able to match any rotation over of Jojo towards this potential grub fight. They're both top laners teleportless, so at best case scenario in terms of champions we're going to see is a 4v4 here on the top side. But Elyoya looks uninterested completely here, wants to look for a Cataclysm play here at level 6 onto Doran.
Yeah, surely Doran's not going to be able to make his way out this time as the all-out comes on through. Decent amount of value there with the counter-strike, but not enough as Elyoya just throws down the Cataclysm and manages to finish him off.
After that show bottom side, T1 could just say, well, there's no jungler here. We have the numbers advantage, and we're going to take these grubs in return. So it's not going to be without cost here. Some gold gets injected into this Jarvan. They take the Jax off of the map, which is pretty significant, but T1 are going to always have that extra side lane threat with the Jax now on 3 grubs. Yes, he's down on gold now, but his side lane pressure is going to be real later on.
Certainly will be. The Dragon still going here. As you can see, Elyoya getting the start on it a little while back. You can see picture in picture, very, very close to going down, and it doesn't look like T1 is going to be able to stop it. So there it is, the first Ocean going to be taken here. Next Dragon going to be that Hextech. See what the soul is going to be. Knock up onto Faker, good charm there from Jojo as well. Not a whole lot more going to eventuate as the gravity field not quite stunning anyone.
Yeah, I just want to grab a split plate here, and they will do so. You know, it's
pretty scary.
It ends up being fairly even. You know, the kill goes over to Elyoya, right? They are able to push Doran out of the side lane. They get the dragon in trade for the grubs since it's a late first dragon here. But I kind of favor, because it is a Jax, T1's position here is JoJo getting the charm.
Yeah, really nice charm there as the Spirit Rush, still a couple of charges. As Faker wanting to be able to get that shield back down to 100 now as JoJo goes back in. The Arcane Storm doesn't work, and there it is, a shutdown from JoJo. Solo kill onto Faker.
The flash was really well timed there from JoJo. Gets that final auto, gets the reset, his health back, and we'll just kite the minions back to the turret. And finally, this time he got Faker for real. Takes him out here in the solo. The charm so well placed, weaved in there onto Faker. He plays it so respectfully there, and it will just teleport back to lane. So big win for him, has now shored up some of that mid lane deficit down to just 100 gold. As we go back to the play itself, look at this, goes into point blank range here through the minions, gets on top of Faker. I think Faker feeling confident with those minions there. Doesn't have the flash, of course, gets the return Q there. That's huge, that's the damage he needs. Gets in with, gets the Foxfire, flashes out, gets the reset, gets the heal.
Yeah, getting the essence back as well, making sure that it wasn't even close. Millen, he's Cassante. We've seen some Cassantes be pretty powerful, but the Comet wasn't there last time. That's going to be what finishes him off. And T1 straight back on the horse as they're looking to take down this outer turret on the top side of the map.
And Guma gets a lot of money here from this play, and the leads that have been generated across these lanes, even with the death on Doran, even with that kill picked up by JoJo, are still there. You know, T1 still with a significant early game lead, so we're going to see the channel here pushing Faker out.
Yeah, very little.
It's not enough.
But the Rod of Ages is coming along pretty well here for Faker, so he's going to be relatively takey. As there is the suppression, Super finds himself in a very uncomfortable position, but Alvaro comes back and is going to be able to convince them to leave him alone. Flash has to be used, Cleanse has to be used.
Yeah, double summoners down there. Owner doesn't have to commit his flash for the play. Not entirely sure how he was able to get on top of Super like that. Just a nice flank angle, I suppose.
It might be like the Knight situation from yesterday, where we'll just never know.
I don't know if this one's going to have the same sort of high implications as that one yesterday, but it's still pretty big and will affect Supa's ability to team fight, you know, on this next dragon, because he's not going to have those, or at least not going to have his flash, that key summoner. That's so important for a champion like MF to survive through, especially when he's already so far behind into this lethality virus that already has that big first Ghost Blade. Is going to have his Muramana relatively quickly with the lead he has in this one as well. So yeah, there's been some really great plays here for MKOI. We have to give respect to how well JoJo's played the lane. You know, the attempt from Elyoya that failed, right, to kill Faker was just an outplay by T1. It wasn't even like Elyoya botched it, but T1 have been better in these critical moments and will hold the lead for now. But this is still a relatively close game. 2,000 gold is a lot at 12.5 minutes, but you know, it could just be one team fight that brings MKOI back into this, but I'm loving T1's position so far.
Yep. Of course, MKOI not out of it just yet, but as you were saying, T1 looking better this time around. But we haven't seen any honest fights just yet. As Ono looking to maybe stop that one as the Gravity Well comes in, the all-out from Mo and gets him out of that. As now Faker just going to have to try and walk his way out, and he's not going to be able to do so. Decides instead that he needs to kill the wave. And he will manage to do that, but Moen with another solo kill. Faker really kind of falling apart at the seams here in this game 3.
Merwin has the Frostfire Gauntlet, so he knows he has the slows, knows he can use his Unstoppable to get through the gravity field. As we might have a fight down here. I don't know if T1 are going to think better of it or not, as it's just too tough to actually close this gap here. Owner could have looked for a Flash Impale.
Yeah, Elyoya not able to slow down Gumayusi, as he does have that Ghost Blade that you were talking about.
Doran now down his TP, so TP advantage to Merwin as he has to come up here and catch the wave that Faker lost after dying there in the top side. Faker now respawns, but doesn't have a TP of his own, so bottom prio belongs to JoJo, who can push this wave in. And T1 fought so hard to try to get something to happen there on the bottom side so they could control the dragon, but now it's a reset timer here for Gumayusi. And Doran doesn't have a TP to join, whereas Merwin absolutely could. He's going to instead opt to go to the top lane. Owner?
Oh dear, okay, JoJo not going to get crashed into here as Owner wants to find the angle. There's the Impale, but the Spirit Rush going to get JoJo out, but 8 seconds on the Drake and no ult for the Ahri. That could be a big deal. That could allow T1 to even out the Drake counter.
Yeah, looking likely here now that JoJo doesn't have any mobility, is pushed away. And it's just going to be T1 taking this free Drake. We'll find out what soul it's going to be in just a moment. I mean, a TP here for Jojo, but it's just to catch the wave. To contest the Drake would be a pipe dream at this point.
Yeah, especially without an R button available. So Alvaro just going to get escorted towards his outer turret.
Cloud.
There goes the dragon. There's a Cloud Soul. There it is. That's my T1. They love their Cloud Souls, much like I do. As now Gumayusi going to be pushed over towards the side with the rest of his teammates.
It's a pretty good
goes over to MKOI.
Pretty good comp for Cloud for T1. It's decent for MKOI as well, but I feel like I really like it for T1, especially considering the Jax, the Skarner, the Tom Kench, who's also going to love that. So Area, speaking of Tom Kench, interrupted.
Yeah, going to try and get himself out of here as the Gravity Well does come on through. He needs to eat that Grey Health, and he does do so. The Piercing Arrow working out so well here for Gumayusi and Elyoya. Unfortunately, it just didn't have the damage. Keria ate all of it and said, all right, what's next?
Every time.
Didn't have an answer.
This is why it's so frustrating to play against T1. Every time you think they made a mistake, every time you think they're out of position, every time you say, oh man, he can't be there, that's illegal, I've got this. They turn it around. Now, that wasn't necessarily true of Keria's Rel in Game 2, but so often, we talked about the Doran pick in Game 1, they looked for, the T1 is so good at turning around on these, and they're always so tight-knit, the grouping, that if you can't kill someone fast enough, T1 will get in, they will get the punish, and it's the second time Elyoya has died looking for such a pick. But Baker is also looking for a pick and may die if Alvaro can find the angle here.
There's another Spirit Rush, as he's got another charge of that one as the Arcane Storm goes down, and Jojo might need to ult just to stop himself from dying, as Faker not scared of the 2v1.
Yeah. If the Rakan has ult, I think this is a different situation, but he just simply does not. So he kind of shows up and Faker's like, get out of here.
Yeah. He will acquiesce there as well as T1. They have picked up the feats of strength as well, so these shoes feeling that little bit better.
And with that commitment bottom side, I mean, Faker has TP, doesn't have to use it here, and they just get the Herald, excuse me, for free, because they just know there's no contest. Elyoya also on the bottom side of the map you're showing on Vision, and T1 are going to go, okay, well, Herald plus turret, thank you very much.
Oh dear. So Merwin, he is not going to die or anything like that, but he will lose his turret here on the top side of the map and all of the minions.
Yeah, Doran's going to say, I'll let the turret kill the minions before I take it out with my 3 grubs on this Jax that now has a 300 gold lead. Sorry, did I say 300? I meant 600 as the turret falls. And yeah, this Jax we mentioned with grubs is going to be a problem. He's already starting to hit that threshold.
Yeah, 3,000 is the lead here for T1, but there is a lot of other things as well that they have built up for themselves. Now Jojo possibly in trouble. Keria comes in, doesn't land the Abyssal Dive, but it's still a decent amount of damage as now Elyoya comes forward. This time Keria might be dying, gets a Devour, and then dies. That's the plan. Didn't have flash, didn't have a way out.
Yeah, and Jojo is going to use his ult. So we'll need to get out of there now, as the siege onto this turret will likely mean T1 trades that death for a turret.
Yeah, this is interesting, though. There's no to fight for.
I mean, Owner has Impale.
Yeah, but there are 3 people here. That's a lot of bad guys. Gets the double suppress, though, as the Impale is going to be utilized. Arcane Storm making sure that MKOI get out of there. The boulders connecting as well as the Death Ray. Not going to land the second time.
I mean, Jojo is too low to impact this play.
Oh, God. Well, Alvaro is going to find Gumayusi, but Gumayusi is just going to put him in the ground. Now the Gravity Well comes through yet again, and Gumayusi is dead. Super comes over and says, you cannot just be overextended all game, T1. And T1 are going to say, all right, maybe this...
Finally, the punish comes through as the rest of MKOI show up, as Jojo couldn't really get in there to actually get on top of them, but they used the Impale early, and then they were too far forward, and there's just too many MKOI members rotating down like angry wasps after a disturbed nest to come over and clear T1 out. Doran is going to look for this inner turret, but he may pay with his life.
Well, let's see whether he gets a cute little leap strike off as Super is waiting. The ulti comes through, he flashes as Jojo will be able to get over this wall, but he's going to be alone. The charm connects, and that will mean that MKOI will be able to kill the Jax. So nicely played, almost the great escape there from Doran, and does manage to get the inner turret, so it's not exactly all bad news. But
yeah, no kill to the Ahri there. It ultimately ends up going, or to the MF, goes over to Elyoya, but I mean, this Jarvan is still significantly relevant, and we'll use the gold pretty well, but at the end of the day, it's going to be a cross-map turret this time for sure for T1, right? I think this time they get it, and they make it even more.
Well, that is Merwin getting devoured. and trying to stay alive. He does do so, buys time for the cavalry to turn up. Chains of Corruption on top of him as well. It's finally Gumayusi gets himself in there as Jojo not able to find it, and the sidesteps are beautiful here from the AD carry from T1. Elsewise, on the other side of the fight, T1 are getting lower and lower, but they will get themselves out of there just with a Cassante.
His Cataclysm was like 3 seconds away. He didn't have it to get on top of Guma, and Guma just Ghost Blades out, absorbs Jojo Pyun there with the Edge of Night as well. Just knows he can walk up to that Ahri and is relatively safe. Now, Elyoya and crew are looking for this dragon. He does have his Cataclysm back. Faker's TPing in. Doran, the first to go in.
He's just going to dive forward into 4 people. Counter-Strike now on cooldown means that he's just going to die here. And now Faker getting in amongst it as well. Down to 1,500 is this dragon, and there is the smite from Elyoya. Finally, the cavalry will arrive, and Gumayusi, not a lot of threat here on top of him. He's going to be chasing out Elyoya, who gets into that brush. Finally, he will find it, and the rest of T1 are looking to tear them apart as well, but it's Super that does so. He gets one of them off the back end, but finally falls, and it's Gumayusi's Varus that's looking like it's spelling victory here for T1 in Game 3.
Yeah, this is just starting to become too much of a lead here for T1. Dragon advantage goes to MKOI, but it's such a heavy price. And Faker, he started this game off a little bit slow, but it's been a side lane threat, has been kind of the commander for so many of these fights. Joins here late as Doran is the one to engage first.
Doran's having a happy game this time around.
He really is, but the fact that the Cataclysm gets used onto this Jax while Doran is quite literally 1v4ing means that now how do you catch Guma? How do you catch Faker? They go for Faker, they go for the charm onto this Victor, does a ton of damage as he kites back. They don't take him out. Guma gets the kill here onto Elyoya, and there's no recourse anymore because he used everything on a Jax. At least Supa's able to channel enough to get that extra kill there at the end, and that's a consolation prize, but Guma was just never under any threat because Doran just took all the buttons.
Yep, T1 fans going ballistic in the arena as well. It is not over yet though, and it's not even a 5,000 gold lead. It almost is.
Okay, Chronicle.
There, yeah. I'm looking for a little bit of cope. But they also don't quite have the soul points stacked up just yet. You can see MKOI actually the team that has the most dragons. And Swift Herald's not going to quite find too much. So getting distracted is good old Shelly.
I mean, look, there's some ways back into this if you can somehow get the Edge of Night off of Guma, and Jojo finds an angle, kills him right, then the fight becomes playable. You have Faker, who doesn't have an arm guard, doesn't have a Zhonya's, if maybe he's the target who gets caught in the side lane, if he's the one who's punished before a big objective, like an Otacon, for example, if they can find those angles, there's a way back in. It's just finding them is so hard against a team that plays so respectfully like T1 and knows how to turn fights. Like, oh, you think you caught Faker, but everyone rotates in so quickly. It's not a global, but even Skarner's ability to get across the map so fast is so relevant in a game like this, especially with Cloud. So we're not there yet, and T1 don't have any Cloud Dragons, but I'm fishing for angles here as to how MKOI get back in, and it's just going to be so tricky here. And when the Varus has the Edge of Night and has a lead like this, like, how do you ever kill him? How do you ever surprise him? How do you ever say, hey, like, you're out of position, we found it?
Catching them on an Otacon could certainly be an opportunity here as Carrier looking for that dive angle, but Merwin, he's also trying to get himself in there. Now going to get out. The double suppression is so good here from Ona. The hail of arrows to proc all the blight, and it's a double for Gumayusi. Down goes the jungler, down goes the other smite as well, and that is going to mean even more power over to T1.
You can feel the regret all the way over in the European Union about not banning that Varus in this game.
Oh dear. This guy pretty good at the Varus. As Carrier just looking to support as a Storin that takes down Super inside the base of MKOI. And this feels like it's not just an Otacon going down. It's like the whole game just exploded in favor of T1 as they'll break open the base, they'll take an inhibitor, and what more are they going to gain here as the bounties have now been set up. Jojo Pyun towards the bottom side of the map wants to get a piece of that pie, but it is not really representing all that much good stuff.
No.
Here's we have a look at this fight yet again.
I mean, look at Guma in this fight. Double suppress comes through, charge up the Q, double root coming through, chains of corruption, and Merwin just gives up. He's like, well, I mean, You don't have the angle. I'm out of here. Supo isn't there for the follow-up bullet time. If they have the Cataclysm, if they have an all-out, they're able to get on top of Guma, and they can use all those tools together. That's a winnable fight, 100%. But they're just not synced up. They're not there at the same time. T1 don't give them enough time. And the fact that Guma is able to just chill and say, no, we start this fight. We start this turn with the double suppress. And since MKOI didn't have a prayer there, and you could see the frustration on JoJo's face. You know, he tried to look for the side lane there as his base starts to get broken open, but he can't even really put a dent into that bottom side outer turret. No turrets taken for MKOI, and what is potentially the start of the end of this game.
It really did feel like it. As soon as that Otacon was taken, there was not a whole lot more that could be done here. Azona looking to get on top of JoJo. Nice charm to try and stop him, but this Skarner can kind of do no wrong at this point in time. Everywhere is where he belongs on this map. And that is not something that Skarner often says. He normally misses his kind and stuff like that. Feels a bit lonely. Not this time around. As the Cloud Drake has spawned, that's something they can go over to collect. And here is the Baron.
T1 like to do Baron on spawn in a deficit. And with a 8,000 gold lead in this game, they're kind of like, do we end the game or do we kill the Baron, as they just have full map control right now. Guma still has his Edge of Night. A Q attempt there from Valvaro to try to pick that one off will not be successful. As they push the mid lane, Owner starts up this dragon alone. Guma will help him take it, and then they can go straight towards the top side of the map with Keриa's reset here to start clearing up that Baron vision. The top inhibitor gives them that extra pressure for Doran in that top side to continue to make sure that part of the map stays T1 vision controlled. That extra prio is going to help them get into the pit. There's some vision there for MKOI right now, but it's just a matter of time as Keria comes over here with double control wards to clear it out.
Yep. Should be able to do so pretty comfortably here. Azona walking over wards, but this is the thing. If he face checks, what does MKOI do about it? They take the 15 years it costs to kill him. It's just really, really difficult because he can just kind of go wherever he would like.
I mean, JoJo's just sitting on the side. Maybe this time they'll join. Maybe he can find a flank angle. They didn't clear all the vision. They didn't clear all the wards. Maybe there's an angle, but T1 are just giving them no quarter in this game. There's that TP.
All right, here's the angle. They get the flash out of Gumayusi. That is a big deal. And he is still very, very low. Not a lot of lifesteal available here for the Varus either. So a big opportunity now for MKOI. The problem is the rest of T1 are also really dangerous as Merwin tries to go all out. And Guma is just holding that position. Arcane Storm down onto JoJo Pyun. He's trying to get out. And he is going to be able to do so. It's Doran that leaps across the side. Then goes Golden. Merwin dashing around the fight as well. And Doran is still moving forward. The wallets, I feel, are just that little bit too heavy as T1 will be able to once again win out the fight, even though that looked closer than it had any right to be.
It was a heroic last stand from MKOI. They get the charm. They get the follow-up from Alvaro. But this base is now in tatters. Owner goes in.
Nice little charm onto Doran there to be able to take him down. But it is going to cost a whole lot more, and probably the Nexus here for MKOI, as the first seed from Europe will bite the dust, and our title defenders in T1 move to the semifinals.
It was not an easy battle here for T1. It was a lot more hard fought than I think most expected coming into this series. The MKOI fans in the arena here in Riyadh did not give up hope, but T1 from start to finish in this one had a clean game. And that Varus that they left open in the hands of Guma is something that they'll probably be thinking about on that long plane flight home as T1 look to bow to the crowd. It's their first series of this tournament. They got seeded into this bracket because they are the defending winners of EWC from 2024. And they're looking to once again solidify themselves as a title contender here. They win game 3.
And now up against Anyone Legends as well, which is going to be a tough battle. They looked great yesterday in their match, and going to be lying in wait against the title defenders in T1 here. So able to shake off a bit of the rust here in this best of 3 for the first time of asking here out of T1. And looking real great here.
Yeah, MKOI The fans, I think, could definitely give them one more round of applause because this team absolutely outdid expectations here. Really lived up to being Europe's #1 seed. Jojo having a fantastic series as well. It wasn't enough, but I think Europe should still feel proud of what MKOI brought to this tournament.
Yep, absolutely. But now it is time to throw it over to Ian, who has Owner ready to crush a key.
The Titans of T1 return to Riyadh here at EWC to defend their title, and they start off with a win here, of course, in the quarterfinals. I'm here with Owner. You just went up against LEC's best. They pushed you further than many expected. What did you make of their playstyle?
일단 오너 선수 승리 축하드리고요. 일단 첫 번째 질문으로는 오늘 또 LEC의 1시드인 MKOI를 상대하게 되셨는데 확실히 좀 어려운 싸움이었는데 그럼에도 불구하고 이제 LEC의 이 탑시드를 상대로 좀 어떤 경기를 좀 보여주셨다고 생각하시는지 그들의 또 경기에 대해서 한번 또 평해 주신다면 또 어떤 평이실지 궁금합니다.
네, 뭐 이제 1시드인 만큼 굉장히 잘했다고 생각하고 있고요. 저희도 이제 사우디에 와가지고 시차 적응하느라 상대팀도 그렇고 저희 팀도 그렇고 약간 힘든 일정에서 경기를 뛰었는데 그래도 이렇게 기분 좋게 2대1로 이겨서 다행인 것 같고 더 잘 준비해야 될 것 같다 생각합니다.
Yeah, I think that they definitely showed a solid performance as a top seed of LEC, and we both MKOI and us had to deal with all the jet lag stuff because of long travel. And that being said, I think they brought us a solid game, and I think we're glad that we should bring more. And in the upcoming games, I think we should try to do best as well.
Well, speaking of the travel out here, it was less than a week ago, 6 days to be exact, that you had that heartbreaking, crushing defeat at MSI in the final. What's the process been like since then? It's been literally fresh out the frying pan into the fire.
이제 좀 아픈 얘기긴 하지만 일주일 전에 정확하게 6일 전에 또 MSI의 결승전에서 좀 아쉽게 패배를 하시고 또 이렇게 바로 또 이렇게 오셔서 또 EWC를 준비하게 되셨는데 좀 그 과정에 대해서는 좀 어떻게 보셨는지 어떻게 좀 준비를 하셨는지 궁금합니다.
네, 뭐 이제 아무래도 저희가 준우승을 하고 결승전에 지긴 했지만 뭐 결국 프로 스포츠 하다 보면은 뭐 사실 질 때도 있다 보니까 크게 연연하지 않았던 것 같고 그 이후로 이제 EWC 이런 대회가 있다 보니까 이 준비를 열심히 했었던 것 같고 또 이 경기에서 또 이기면 된다라는 생각이 있기 때문에 이번 EWC에도 많은 준비를 했었던 것 같습니다.
Yeah, it's definitely heartbreaking that we couldn't take a title for the MSI, but that being said, we do have another game, and it is a professional sport, so we always know that there's going to be another game to prepare for. So that's why we try to bring our best in our games in EWC, and that's why we'll try as much as well.
Absolutely, and there's that extra added element of pressure here because you are back to defend your title. Do you feel that added pressure?
이제 또 디펜딩 타이틀 홀더로서 디펜딩 챔피언으로서 이렇게 또 방어를 하기 위해서 또 이렇게 우승을 또 목표로 이렇게 오셨는데 그 점이 좀 부담이 되지는 않으시는지 좀 궁금하네요.
네, 뭐 사실 부담감은 딱히 없는 것 같고 사실 저희가 그냥 하던 대로만 하다 보면은 사실 이번 2025 EWC도 우승할 수 있다고 생각이 들어서 그냥 부담감은 딱히 없는 것 같습니다.
I don't think there's going to be a pressure anymore because I think if we can do our best games as possible, like what we do, well, can we follow our games that we did? So I think I'm pretty confident that we can hold the title this year as well.
Well, there will be some physical pressure in a moment as we take you over to the key crushing. But first, a lot of T1 fans have come out to show you support. So let's give them a moment for our semi-finalists. Make some noise for Owner and T1.
네, 부수러 가시겠습니다. 키 부수러 가시겠습니다. 네.
All right. This will be T1's first key crush here at EWC 2025. And the pleasure is all Owners. Time to roll credits on Movistar Koi.
everyone, as we exit the competition for MKOI, I grabbed Elyoya, so you guys were able to push T1 to that third game of a best of 3. It was a very back and forth game, so talk me through what went wrong in that game.
I mean, I think third game we weren't ready for the fights they proposed, like the Atakan. I think we approached wrong the retake and they capitalized on our mistake really well. I think Honor did a really good job, so yeah, I mean, we were not ready for those fights.
And especially coming back from MSI till now, 2 international events in a row, what have your learnings been so far?
I mean, I think it's been a really good and learning experience because I think the team that we showed today is really different to the one that we showed in MSI. So I'm really proud of my team. Like, I think we bounced back from a quite hard loss in the international event. So I'm really excited for Worlds and what's coming next.
Yeah, and I'm sure the fans at the arena are also excited to see what you guys can bring back at the LEC. We have a lot of MKOI fans. They never fail to disappoint, so can you please say something to them in Spanish as we have the ending for MKOI story?
Can you repeat the question? Sorry,
We have the ending of MKOI story, so would you like to say something to the fans in Spanish?
Yeah, I mean, muchas gracias a todos. Sois parte de nuestra fuerza y la verdad que es un orgullo para todos los del equipo, y hablo en nombre de todos los del equipo, ser parte de esta gran familia. Cuando digo que sois motivo por el que ganamos, no lo digo en broma, creo que hoy ya habéis hecho una gran diferencia y nos habéis ayudado a casi ganar a T1, así que muchísimas gracias.
Thank you so much, Elyoya. We'll see you back at the LEC, and that's all for now.
The look on the faces of MKOI, who got so close, able to turn it around in game 2 and kept it competitive in game number 3. But eventually, the squeeze of T1 led to the tears from MKOI and MKOI fans. They drop out of the Esports World Cup in